Welcome back to the Fly the Flag podcast. It's been a bit. I'm Mike Mfaraci. That's Jonny Fowler. What's happening, brother? How you doing?
Just working, having a good time. It's springtime here in the South, and things are starting to pick up. We've got some housing moving. We've got some rates going up and down and crazy stuff, but it is springtime, and the market is really starting to move. We're actually seeing a lot of multiple offers, things like that. So I'm excited about this year.
Always nice to hear business picking back up. Seasonality, yeah. Who knew? It's still, I think people are still getting readjusted to seasonality after COVID because it went away for a few years.
I still get a kick out of a lot of this, especially like when we read the jobs reports and when we see the consumer price index and all of those things. Mm-hmm. And it's like, here I'm going to make a what would you call that? Prediction. I'm going to make a prediction right now in April of 2024. Consumer spending will go up in November and December of 2024. Consumer spending will drop off in January of 2025.
We might see a huge peak in consumer spending the day after Thanksgiving. I don't know why I think that, but it's just a hunch.
I would put $1 on that one myself.
That's right. Well, it's not just me and you today, so you're welcome to our viewers and listeners. We're going to welcome in our special guest. We have COO of FinLocker, my friend and yours, Brian Vieaux. Welcome in, Brian.
What an awesome human.
I enjoyed the economics lesson while I was waiting in the green room, so thank you for that.
I know much more about economics than I do about baseball.
Anytime we can point out the obvious for people, we're willing to.
But I do.
Somebody's got to do it, right?
Truthfully, don't you get a kick out of that? Every year we act surprised that spending goes up in November and December, and then it's like spending dropped off in January, and we're like, really? Imagine that.
Because everybody's broke from November and December.
What happens in December? I'm confused.
It's almost like it happens every year.
Well, I mean, I can just say that from at least 55, 56 years.
Yeah, for sure. More than me, but we don't need to get into that conversation. Brian, I want to talk to you about some stuff that's going on in the world of FinLocker, because I know that there's been a somewhat recent anyway, partnership with AFN.
Absolutely, yeah,
we're doing this podcast with and for and by. So yeah, what's going on with AFN? What did we launch? And give us a little nickel tour here.
Sure. So we partnered with AFN a few months back. What does that partnership look like? Well, our product, which is a consumer-facing financial fitness and home ownership app, we launched AFN's branded version of that, published the tech to the AFN accounts at Apple and Google Play. So it's a native mobile app in the App Store. AFN Vault is the product name. Cool. Everything pops, man. The colors are awesome. I love the color schema of AFN in particular, and then it looks great in the app. And we're adding loan officers as we speak to the platform, and the loan officers that are using the product can use it in a couple different places. If you think about the mortgage continuum from a consumer perspective, I talk a lot about up funnel, early journey, education, preparation, which is what our tool does for those.
Tofu, right? Got to reach those top of funnel consumers.
Yeah, top of funnel. And so, one of the cool things that we're seeing happen with our product with other clients is the vast. There's a lot of tools that a consumer can use in this product, from credit monitoring to credit simulation to credit education to financial budgeting and goal setting and tracking spending to kind of one of our featured widgets, which is this homeownership snapshot, which perpetually analyzes the data in the app for the consumer and it aligns their personal data with their goals and objectives as it relates to home ownership. So I talk a lot about educating and building confidence with prospective home buyers. And that's really what our product's focused on. And so we've got a couple clients that are really truly using their version of the product as a lead magnet at the top of the funnel. And for them, the top of the funnel is educating consumers at scale on social media, primarily using video, which my friend Mike is a master of.
I don't know what you're talking about there.
Yeah. So we saw a client of ours in particular that launched about 10, 11 months ago.
Yeah.
And through having their version of the product, we're able to attract thousands of new leads to their ecosystem, and actually closed 30 loans in that, first 10 months of launch, which is not insignificant given kind of the market that we all have been operating in. So seeing some really cool results in that.
I do have one question for you I've never asked you before, because it's kind of like asking you to pick your favorite kid, right?
Oh,
like
yeah,
what is the one little micro feature, little morsel that's in the app, whether it's right there at the front or kind of buried back in, that really gets you excited or has you hearing clients, lenders, loan officers saying, yeah, all this is great, but this one thing turned out to be a bit of a needle mover and we didn't quite expect it.
Yeah, and I don't know if didn't quite expect it is going to be the right alignment here, but especially in the last, I don't know, 4 months or so, with all the credit trigger, news that's out there and the legislation that's in front of the government right now, the Home Buyers Privacy Protection Act. The feature that I'm most proud of is our credit widget, and might seem really elementary, but the credit widget has a set of tools in it that allows the consumer to see their credit score, which is important. And we update that every 7 days, which may or may not be as important, the timing. But why is the 7-day important for FinLocker? Because we're providing an engagement opportunity on behalf of our client, the loan officer and the lender, when that score changes, to bring the consumer back into the app to see the impact. And then, of course, they can see all the factors that impact their score. But what's really interesting is something we're working on in our product development team is to help consumers understand why they might elect to opt out from the pre-screen. And I don't know if any of you guys have done this, but I did it for the first time as a consumer a couple of weeks back. I went to the optoutprescreen.com website and found it confusing. Found it not very easy to navigate to the form that I wanted to get to complete the opt-out.
I mean, speaking of video, some of the most popular videos that the vast majority of loan officers post and publish that get huge reach and engagement is just a walkthrough on how to do that.
There you go.
So that tells you how unfriendly the experience is for somebody going to that website to get the job done. So
we're basically creating an experience within our app that will guide the consumer. And I'm not going to say we're on either side of the political, landscape on this. We believe that consumers should be educated in a way that is easy to understand, and then they can make their own decision. And so we're going to help, better educate the consumer on why you might want to opt out and perhaps when you might want to opt back in, so to speak. But understand that if you don't opt out and you apply for financing down the road, there are some things that are going to happen. Your information is going to be put out there into the ether, so to speak, and you're going to get blown up on your phone and email and everywhere else. So we think that's an exciting product enhancement that's going to be beneficial, to consumers, which is always our number one focus, but also really well received by the lending and loan officer community.
Awesome. That's a pile of information there. Jonny, what do you got?
I'm looking at it. I pulled it up. I wanted to see what it looked like, and it looks really, really nice inside of the App Store. The design looks good. The graphics look great. I haven't downloaded it yet. Is this something that anybody can download, Brian?
Yeah. So within AFN, you're obviously looking at your all's product. each of your loan officers that is set up as a user, when they're set up as a user, we create the product creates a unique invitation code. It's an 8-digit invitation code. Another cool thing that we provide is if a loan officer wants to have a vanity code, right? Like, Cool Mike would be an 8-digit vanity code. Then we can set that up. But essentially, when they invite a consumer to download the app and they use that code, that's how we tie the consumer to that particular loan officer.
Can the consumer go in and download it without?
No, not today. Today it's
Perfect.
it's all connected to the relationship with a specific loan officer.
You were saying that you update the credit score every week. What model are you using?
So we use Vantage 3.0. And there's multiple reasons for it. Reason number one is economics. The Vantage 3.0 is at least 10 times less expensive than the royalty you pay.
Yeah, you don't have to tell us how expensive FICO scores have gotten. Trust me.
No, but that may be something that's good, because this is going to go out to consumers also, and people don't realize what the cost of a credit report is, what the cost of paying the FICO royalty and so forth, and how we are moving into and being pushed to do the Vantage score along with, inside of the tri-merge. So I think it's important that people start, having that roll off the tongue, Vantage score, like they do FICO score,
right.
Even though they still say FICA, things like that. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to find out.
Yeah. So economics is definitely a factor. Also our use case, the way, we engineered this product to really be an early funnel education tool. And so with Vantage Score in our partnership with TransUnion, we have a credit simulator that's a DIY. So the consumer actually can, using their credit profile, can model the impact to their score if they take actions like paying down or paying off a credit card, or opening a new line of credit, or opening a new account anywhere, or even, if they're having cash flow issues and need to contemplate letting an account go delinquent, they can actually model the impact to their score, letting a specific account go delinquent. So it's the DIY tool is super engaging, especially for that early journey, home buyer.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's actually my favorite feature of the app. I've played with it a decent bit, and just the thought that, me, I'm a video guy, marketing guy, always thinking about messaging, right? Putting myself in a loan officer's shoes. Aside from all the other stuff that is included in the app that it offers, Brian, you can go into more of that stuff, but like your quick and simple, down and dirty is it's like a Nerd Wallet / Rocket Mortgage for dang near anybody in the mortgage industry who wants it. You don't need that infrastructure behind you to be able to offer lead generation tools like that, lead magnet, top of funnel tools like that, educational, really value-driven, beneficial tools like that. But if you just took one feature, I really think that loan officers and originators can get a whole lot of traction just by saying, hey, download this app, use my code, and then right there on your phone at all times, you'll be able to play around with your credit report and see how you can bump and make worse your FICO score whenever you want. Like, what's going to happen if I pay this down or off? What's going to happen if I take out a new car loan? What's going to happen if I, those are the preemptive questions that everybody who's looking for a loan wants to know the answers to. How do I get my credit score up so I can get better rates and terms on my loan? And then also, how's this loan going to affect my credit score on the go forward afterwards? And it gives them a low barrier to entry way to do that anytime they want. And I love that feature.
So Brian, walk me through this. How easy is it for a consumer to download this, then tie all of their assets into this system? The reason I ask is the company that I'm with, that I have my investments with, or some of my investments with, one of the things that I love about them is this dashboard. So I can tie in all of my assets, my bank accounts, all of these things, and they make it 90% easy to download all the information. There's a couple of them that are kind of a pain in the butt. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so that's a great example too, because I think most people that are probably watching this have digitally connected one or more of their bank accounts in an app somewhere, right? Whether it's their bill pay app that's through their bank, whether it's Venmo or Cash App, all those things require that digital connection, and that digital connection is a credentialing process where you're permissioning as a consumer access to and this is important, access to the data, not the dollars, the data in the account. So like most of those accounts, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, those are transactional apps that move money. We are a read-only app that just analyzes the data. So to your point, Johnny, it's pretty simple. If you bank, wherever you bank, right? So checking, savings, investment, 401k, IRA, I'll call those all the liability side of the ledger. Whatever institution you have or institutions you have, you would credential into those institutions. A token gets created between our technology and that financial institution. Credentials are never stored. We don't store a consumer's credentials. We don't even see them. And then that token each evening calls out to Wells Fargo or Chase or whatever, and that brings in all the transactional data from that day, and then that stores and sits in the consumer's FinLocker, if you will. But we also allow you to connect to the liability side of your personal ledger. So charge cards, gas cards, credit cards, student loans, auto loans, mortgage loans, HELOCs, et cetera. And one of the additional benefits, and you probably have this as well, Johnny, in your investment account, if you own real estate, we allow you to connect to your property, and we bring in a bank-rated automated valuation model, an AVM, that updates every 30 days. Also, another engagement opportunity to ping the consumer, bring them back in. And then if you also have a mortgage against that property and you associate that mortgage in the app, you truly have a single place to see your entire financial life. And there are some accounts or some assets that people have, like savings bonds, that you can't connect to digitally. So we allow you to manually input the value of those assets as well. So you can have truly a place to see your entire financial picture. Now, I didn't answer the question, how easy is it, right? At an account level, it's very easy. But if you have multiple accounts, then it's going to take a little bit of time. Most of our users that are in that early journey, top of funnel, in their life, they probably have more liability accounts than they do asset accounts, frankly. And so what we find is most consumers that are in that first-time home buyer cohort, in sub 6 minutes, they can have their account fully loaded, and which includes answering like, what are your goals and objectives? What's your timing for buying? What's your target home price range? Things like that. And then we use all that data, both consumer contributed by answering questions in the profile and consumer permission, direct source, to put on top of it I'll call it a paint by numbers guided journey towards mortgage readiness.
That's awesome. I love that. So where did this idea come from?
Yeah, so the company started with the idea of digitizing bank statements, right? If you think about, all of us originated loans or still originate loans, and bank statements have always been one of the bugaboos, especially if there's multiple bank accounts. And, even though the statement says 8 of 8 pages, you never get the blank last page. Everybody knows the drill, right? But we didn't, our efforts weren't to just turn paper into data. It was truly to help loan processors and underwriters quickly analyze a consumer's assets, and we could parse out like large deposits and identify those things. So today that features pretty much known as digital verification of assets, day one certainty. Account check is a product that's out there that people are familiar with. And so we started as that point solution in digitizing, asset data or asset statements, but quickly pivoted into more of a holistic consumer financial fitness experience that was centered on preparing for home ownership. And so that's been kind of the evolution over the last 4 years is to get to today's version of the product, which is this really highly engaging, we believe one of the best in class consumer experiences that's specific to tying financial fitness and home ownership together.
So is there still a processing side and a consumer side to the system?
Yeah. So if you think about what I've been talking about, which is the consumer experience around getting ready, which by the way is financial readiness and emotional readiness. People go through a process. The output. So if someone, let's just say a consumer who's a first-time home buyer is using this app for 11, 13 months, whatever, to get themselves ready, and they've connected the bank accounts or account that they're going to use that they're saving for their down payment and closing costs. The output of our process when someone achieves mortgage readiness and they're now ready to apply for the mortgage with Mike, the loan officer, who gave them access to this tool, we're going to securely share that banking data and other data that's been curated with Mike, the loan officer, in the form of a Fannie 3.4 MISMO compliant data set that includes that asset key that can be used for running DU, getting your day one certainty, digital asset verification. So it's not necessarily in the middle of the loan process there. It's actually at the very front of the loan application process that we're passing all that data to the loan officer.
And where does that go? Where does that go? Does it go into my LOS? Does that go into my POS?
Yeah, typically, like we have an integration with Encompass. And so typically we'll see most lenders and loan officers take that MISMO file and kind of pre-fill or start the mortgage application itself in Encompass at that point. But we've worked with some other point of sales as well to pass that data there as well. It's really a preference at the AFN lender side. Today, for those of our audience from the AFN world, we do not yet have the integration. So we're gonna create this this package of data, this MISMO compliant data set, Fannie 3.4, and it gets securely shared to our portal, our admin portal, where each loan officer that's set up as a user has credentialed access to the portal to their lockers only. They can only see those consumers that are in their ecosystem. And that's where they would go down and download that 3.4 file and I'll say drag and drop as the technical term into POS or LOS or however that process works in the AFN world.
I'm just sitting there thinking about the encryption on everything that you're doing and all of the different points. And my mind has just gone into, lockup mode. When you start thinking about credit, you start thinking about all of these outside ancillary systems and companies. And then you start thinking about upload into MISMO 3.4 into other systems. And oh my God, what a pain to keep up with all of that.
Yeah, in a high volume market, having integrations and passing the data through integrations is the optimal setup. But in today's environment, every loan officer that we work for gladly will accept that ping on their email saying, Mike, Brian just shared.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no question about that. You talk about
he wanted to apply for a loan. I don't have time for him. I don't know anybody saying that right now.
Ease of use because of the system. I mean, think about that. Think about all of the things that what Brian's talking about. It eliminates for me on the processing side of the loan, bringing that information in, bringing it in a language that my system already speaks and doing it at one time as opposed to going and getting paycheck stubs, going and getting bank statements, going and getting 3 months worth of bank statements, going and getting all of these things, and then pulling credit reports, and then having to go through and do all of the AKAs, and this isn't me, and this, all of those things, because by the time we've gone from month 11, month 13, like Brian was talking about, to this point, we've got a really good picture of who I am and who I am not. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say maybe not to the point of, if the consumers that that have, FKAs, because we do identify, there is an identity verification step at the consumer level in the app. So we do that. We use a tool from TransUnion for that service as well. So it is a verified consumer, and then we obviously have them connect to those financial accounts as I described. But another interesting use case that has come up in the last 6 months, maybe even a little bit earlier than that, as credit reporting costs have gone up, is, every great loan officer is asking, they know the questions to ask of a prospective borrower. And based on the answer to the question, they know whether they're going to put them down path A, which is I'm going to go run my tri-merge right now, or we may not yet be doing that tri-merge. Well, with the way our products
it's not exactly
engineered and priced, we have a lot of loan officers that are sending them
to run it and just see these days, right?
Yeah, they're starting in our app. That's where they're sending them first. Is like,
that's great.
Let's go here first before we go down this other path.
And even before all of the data transfers and all the encryption and all the ease of use that it builds into, taking an application and going forward from it. It's great that I love that Jonny points that stuff out, because that's not where my mind goes. Because we come at this from two different perspectives. I look at this as a very early and easy way to just start filling your CRM with early journey first time home buyers.
Yeah.
I mean, who there's not a whole lot of target clients that are frankly more easy to work with, that have less going on that could go wrong within the loan process than an early journey first time home buyer who's looking to get into home ownership for the first time. And quite frankly, it's some of the most fulfilling transactions you'll ever close, just from a service perspective, helping people attain that kind of lifelong dream, that goal of home ownership.
The whole reason I got in this business.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Mike, you've heard me talk about this. We've done some videos together on this topic, and I truly believe that there is no better source or resource for financial education as it relates to home ownership than the local loan officer. Period. End of story. That's what I believe. And
in a country that's sorely lacking in financial education, for people in the, I don't know, I've been workshopping a new podcast. I think you might have saw it in a DM, Brian, but I'm thinking about starting something with a target viewer age range of 15 to 25.
Yeah.
And I just want to have guests on. I want to call the podcast, Why Don't They Teach This?
Yeah.
And I just want to have guests on and share their most valuable financial knowledge, so some kids can actually learn what they should be learning, so they can be financial with their money out the gate and not have to make the mistake that I did and end up paying $3,000 for $300 worth of Capital One credit card.
Yeah.
Straight out of college or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, one of the things, the CRM, that's one of the things I teach people all across the country is, I tell, as I'm teaching realtors and mortgage loan officers and branch managers and whatever business is there, beyond even yourself, I want you to go home. And if your kid is 6 years older, I want you to show them what a CRM is. I want you to get them a QR code that feeds their CRM. And I want you to have them start feeding their CRM at 6 years old going forward. One of the greatest things that anybody's ever said is when Clive Humby said, data is the new oil. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And what it sounds like, and not being derogatory at all, is Brian has figured out a way to somewhat gamify a system. So there's inputs, there's stimulus that's going on with the things that I get to do. And I know that somewhere there is a nerdy person out there like Mike that's going to find 30 minutes every day to play with a system like this.
Yeah. I do. I, as a, someone that is very close to the product, I spend a lot of time in it from a product testing, but also as a consumer. So every Saturday morning, I've got 30 minutes, my first cup of coffee. I just do a simple thing like I just do a sort on last week's transactions across checking and credit cards and just eyeball for any anomalies, right? So it's my own little way to monitor what's going on in my credit and my financial life, right? And so, for consumers, if you're out there and you're a consumer, which we all are, and you do not have a tool today that's monitoring your credit, that's a no-brainer. And which is another, like if I'm a loan officer today, I would just sell that feature as a benefit of having a relationship with me as a loan officer, that I'm going to give you this free credit monitoring tool, no strings attached. And people will use it. People will use it. Now they're, Jonny, now they're in your data, they're in your CRM. They're seeing your brand, your logo every time they go check their credit score. The loan officers in the tool as well with their own branding. The loan officer, and I know Mike's going to get to this, but the loan officer can also partner with real estate professionals in their community that they work with and have kind of a coexistence, if you will.
Yeah, you brought it up. Let's get into that now, because with the recent NAR settlement, I feel like loan officers are in the most powerful spot they've been in quite some time.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of LOs are making that connection, but if you were in the frame of mind up until a month or two ago that you want to build stronger relationships with real estate agents, this NAR settlement coming down the pipe gave you all the opportunity in the world to do that. A lot of it is, I just posted earlier today. I said, like, it doesn't stop here, but where I see it starting is loan officers can teach real estate agents how to sell in a way that's now necessary that might not have been necessary for buy-side agents before. How do you justify your paycheck? How do you sell in those client interviews? How to develop value propositions and convey what you will do for them? Like, these are things buy-side agents have basically never had to do. And now, at least sometimes, their money, their paycheck is going to be coming in part or in whole from straight out of a buyer's pocket. If not all the time. Who knows how this thing's going to shake out, right? But that's stuff that's like unprecedented for real estate agents that loan officers have been comfortable with doing for decades. And like, that's a huge way to help. But another way that we can help is through, co-branding and working together directly within an app like this as a borrower facing type of thing. So what are you doing with co-branding?
So the co-branding's, it's not overly complicated, right? So Mike's the loan officer, Jonny's one of his referral partners. Mike invites Jonny to partner in this experience, and between the two of you, the app creates another unique 8-digit code that always ties you two together. So now Jonny, as the realtor, the buy-side agent, right, who's looking for ways to add additional value to the prospective home buyers that he desires to work with, now has a tool, because of his partnership with Mike, the loan officer, that Jonny can now use to go even further up his own funnel and be a source of preparation and education in his community for early journey first-time home buyers. And so I think both as a loan officer and a real estate professional, particularly a real estate professional who focuses on the buy side, I would be looking for every way possible to add value as early in a consumer's financial life as possible, because there's so many choices. There's so many competing technologies out there and finance apps out there that a lot of, Mint.com, Credit Karma, Rocket Money, et cetera, all have great utility and great tools. And then behind them, they're more or less a marketplace to either a group of lenders or a single lender, right? So as an independent, originator or working for an independent mortgage banker or whatever your structure is as a local loan officer, with a tool like FinLocker, you now have access to products that before, only $1 billion plus companies made available to consumers. And now you have an opportunity to compete up the funnel and add value and start to build trust by leading with education and preparation, not selling. You're not selling anything in the 6 to 12 months that you're up the funnel. You're just providing value in the form of education and financial tools.
And when it comes to the real estate agent co-branding and partnering, you've built home search functionality in the app,
yeah.
right? So just from a keeping people in your bubble, under your umbrella type of perspective, from a mortgage side, this keeps the people that you're trying to do business with, trying to groom and help shape into the home buyers that they know they want to be. This keeps them off of Rocket Money. It keeps them off of Mint. It keeps them off of Bank Rate, where invariably they're going to be prompted to click so their information can be sent to either a different lender or a slew of different lenders, because that leads to being sold to multiple places. And from the agent perspective, they can use the home search within the app also. So that keeps them off of homes.com. It keeps them off of Zillow, which is going to push them to a preferred agent because they're paying for those leads. It's like it keeps it does the job if you set it up properly, if you tee it up for them and kind of are involved and conversational and like doing the right things in your CRM and staying friendly with these people. It keeps them out of your competition's stratosphere, so to speak. Which is
I say this a lot. I don't believe any technology replaces a loan officer. And as a loan officer, I would not be looking for a technology that replaces me, right? I know a lot of loan officers want kind of the easy button, the set it and forget it, and just tell me when someone's ready to transact. And I don't believe in that either.
Mm-hmm.
What we've done intentionally with all those different engagement triggers that I talked about, whether it's a credit score change or a property value change, we gamify readiness with a star rating. So if your star rating changes, those are all alerts to the user, the consumer. But we also send those same alerts to the loan officer that's associated to the consumer in this account. And what we try to coach loan officers on is these are all conversation opportunities along the way where you become memorable in the service and the tool and the value you're providing by being there at opportunistic times to extend and continue that dialogue and that conversation.
So, hey, Brian, we were talking earlier, and you used the scenario that Mike was the loan officer and I was the referral partner. Is it possible for referral partners to be inside of multiple systems?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Talk about that. Tell me, because my job as a referral partner is to be as in front of as many people as I can possibly be. That's my job as far as sales. Yep. So tell me how I can be in multiple.
So, if Mike is loan officer at AFN and Brian's a loan officer at XYZ Mortgage, and we're both partnered with you as a referral partner, each of us could have a paired relationship in the umbrella FinLocker technology. But Mike and Jonny's paired relationship is going to roll up to the AFN branded version of the product, and the unique 8-digit code that ties you two together will get the consumer in the right set, in the right technology. And then I guess Brian and Jonny would be under the XYZ branded version of FinLocker with its own unique 8-digit code. And so I don't have all the answers for what a referral partner should do when they're marketing their database, like which code do I use? And I suppose referral partners have a logical mechanism where they're referring or introducing prospective buyers to loan officers. In the FinLocker world today, we've engineered for all of that to be solved for, by the way. We're still relatively early in our journey where that's yet to become a prevalent, I'm not going to call it a problem because it's not a problem at all. It's reality. It happens already today without technology. But, where we are in our growth stage, we're not seeing that, at scale yet. But yeah, it's as a referral partner, I could have 5 loan officers that each have their own version of FinLocker that I'm partnered in, inside of. A cool thing that we've seen happening is, and this goes back, Mike, to your comments on, what should loan officers be doing to support their referral partners who are those, primarily those buyer's agents. And we've seen a lot of partnering up and doing community-based, financial readiness, home ownership readiness, first-time home buyer education, and actually using the app as the curriculum for the education. So it's not a one and done. We're going to go do a 30-minute seminar and then call that consumer fully educated on what it means to be a ready first-time home buyer. It's a series of, sessions, whether they're in person or digital, that ties to specific components of the app. And so we're seeing them break down the steps of readiness into, 3, 4, 5, or 6 over a period of time. And I think, again, it's all about having as many meaningful conversations as possible with prospective home buyers wherever they are on their journey.
Bringing true, real good value.
Yeah.
If there are any team AFN members who kind of like the sounds of this and you want to know more, explore more, or you want to start offering this type of value to your prospective clients, reach out to our marketing department. They'll help you get set up. And they'll get you set up with a demo if you need it, and all the fun stuff. There's a cost associated. Right. It's not free, but I mean, for a lead magnet, a CRM feeder, and a home buyer creator, almost, right?
Yeah.
We're helping reach, attract, and cultivate new home buyers digitally through the app. If you want to live on people's phones, which, let's face it, that's where their attention is anyway, this is a great way to do it. So reach out to our marketing department. If you are a real estate agent, buy side or sell side, doesn't matter, and you're looking to get in front of more first-time home buyers, seek out a mortgage professional who is set up with an app like this and ask them about the co-branding features. That stuff is awesome.
Is that marketing at afncorp.com, Mike?
That I believe so. Yeah. Marketing at afncorp.com. And then before we go, I want to talk about one more thing. Jonny, I don't know how familiar you are with this project.
I got one too, man.
this was a whole lot of fun. And I see Brian's name right there as a co-author. Can you go ahead and explain some of that to us, Brian? I don't know how many people are watching that are that are aware of this. And this is a $25 thing for anybody in the industry that should get a boatload of value of.
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Yep.
So Kyle Draper, who's also named on the front of the book, he wrote and published a book just a year ago today, yesterday rather, as we record this episode. And we now refer to his first book as the Purple Book, but his first book is titled Rethink Everything You Know About Social Media. And I was sent that book in the mail randomly. And I say random because the gentleman who sent it to me, I'd never met, didn't know. I don't even know if I was connected with him on LinkedIn, as an example.
Was that Scott?
Everybody likes getting packages in the mail. I rip it open. I'm like, okay, what's this? And on the cover was a sticker with a QR code. I'm like, all right, I'll fall for it.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not getting spammed and phished and all the other stuff that you're not supposed to do. So I scan this QR and boom, there's a video on my phone, and it's a guy named Scott Payne. And Scott is introducing himself and saying, I read this book. It was impactful for me and my business, and I thought of you and thought you would like it. That was it. Simple video message from Scott to Brian, who I'd never met. And I'm like, all right, I'll check this book out. And his first book was an easy read. It's like 90 pages, burned through it like on a weekend. And I was floored. I mean, there was stuff in there that I'm like, I knew this stuff, but until I saw it and had him describe it in action, it it really changed the way I think about how I manage my own, profile on LinkedIn in particular. And so I started screenshotting pages from Kyle's book, the Purple Book, and over like a 2-week period, I'm posting like crazy on LinkedIn because I was excited about it and sharing what I learned. And he DMs me one day. He's like, "Hey man, I don't know you." And I'm thinking, "Oh boy, I did something wrong here."
I shared the wrong
And
page.
he's like, "But you're blowing up. Your posts are blowing up my socials, and I just want to thank you for being so supportive of the book." And obviously, a DM exchange turned into, "Let's get on a call together." And we had like two conversations in the first 2 weeks of me getting my hands on the Purple Book. And in the second conversation, he had just mentioned that in passing, he's like, I think I asked him, I said, "What's your plan? Are you going to write another book?" He's like, "I think I'd like to have a Rethink Everything series, and then we just ended the call. And like that, the next day was a Saturday. I'm like, I got it. And at the time, the working title in my head was Rethink Everything You Need to Know to Best Serve the Next Generation Home Buyer. Too many words, right? And so we wordsmith that into Rethink Everything You Know About Being a Next Gen Loan Officer. And neither Kyle nor I were going to be able to write the book because he's not an originator. I haven't originated in decades. I have some thoughts and knowledge and expertise around different aspects of it. And Kyle certainly has thoughts and expertise around what he does as a social media coach. And so we kind of identified a handful of people who we each thought were expert in a particular area that we thought the next generation loan officer should be paying attention to. One of those guys, by the way, is on the screen. Is wearing a backwards hat right now. I had the benefit of getting to know Mike, and so I think early on you were one of the initial founding contributors, and
That's right.
We started with 10 people, and I think Mike even suggested a couple more to me, and we ended up with 37 experts across everything from mindset.
We can just skip straight to the good stuff, guys. Just get the book and flip to page 81. That's where the good stuff starts. Okay. Yeah. Chapter 8, page 71. That's where you need to be.
So we have these 37 contributors who, I mean, literally selflessly have shared like their good stuff, right? This isn't like, oh, I'll give them the stuff that, I don't use. They literally gave the good stuff.
Here's the cool thing I like about this book. This might intrigue some people because I thought this was a really cool concept, and I understood it a little bit more when I saw Kyle's Purple Book. But like this is part of my chapter, right? And you see a QR code there. My 5 or 6 page chapter has 3 QR codes in it because we had like 1,000 word maximum. We were trying to keep the chapters short, easy to consume, stuff like that. I always make the joke. I tell people, if you're human and you poop, you have time to read a chapter. Like there's no excuse not to, right? So, but you're not going to fit everything that you want to say into that finite number of words, short number of pages. There's some fun pictures in there and stuff like that too, to kind of keep people engaged and keep the read easy. Yeah. But when there are places that I wanted to expand, I got to just flip on the camera and talk to you and expand on it. And then they built in QR codes that link to those videos. So that way, if people want the down and dirty, quick and easy, you just breeze through the read, and that's great. But there is so much more information buried in there through those QR codes, watching videos of each contributor actually being able to talk to you about what they're saying. And that's pretty awesome stuff. I really like that. And I mean, I'm not bringing this up because I contributed. Like Dale Vermillion is chapter 2, Coach Bill Hart is chapter 3, Phil Treadwell, Mark Perkins, myself, James Duncan, who's he's a award-winning marketing leader over at lower.com now.
Right.
Greg Shear, the guy who's running NFM Lending, Dan Smakoska has a mortgage marketing company. And then there are a number of sales leaders, successful loan officers, people who've built, sold, and built again CRM companies and really know how you should be utilizing them. as we move into kind of this next generation that I feel like COVID kind of kicked off a little bit.
Yeah.
Like COVID upset everything, and then now people are kind of trying to settle into a new norm, and consumer behavior has changed. So we have to change
Totally.
with that.
Another cool thing that, a byproduct, and this was by design, and we'd hoped it would get there, but I'm seeing it happen now, is the book is becoming a community around the book. And it has very little to do with the two names here. It's the 37 experts in the meat of the book. And, Mike, I'll put you on the spot, but
Yeah.
How many people have you had reach out to you from the book that maybe weren't in your ecosystem or in your sphere before?
So a lot of people, you don't know this yet, but I've been telling people this when I get one-on-one with them. So I've had, I call them networking calls. I've had 6 or 7 networking calls with other book contributors. So I refer to it as the book club. The contributors of this book are part of the book club. And we actually have a little private DM thread on LinkedIn where we kind of shoot the shit back and forth once in a while. But I've put my booking link out there multiple times because I want to meet everybody who contributed to the book. So I have not read the entire book. The way I am reading the book is that every time I get one-on-one with a contributor of the book, I read their chapter in prep for that face-to-face conversation.
I love that.
So I've been, and of course I've read all the chapters from the people that I've already met before, but people that I've no business talking to. Like I didn't know who Kayla Calendar was, other than this blonde girl who does mortgage stuff on the socials, and I like that she's a dog person. But like that's kind of where it ended. And then like this has opened up a whole networking opportunity for me, which is great. And then people posting about the book, and that shows up in your notifications, so you kind of see who's paying attention, you see who's getting stuff out of it. And the thing that I like about it is because it's a chapter from each of the people, you're getting a different voice. So if you're a loan officer and you're like, I got to spare 5 minutes, I want something of value, I'm looking to try something different, I'm not sure, you can almost literally pick it up, flip to a random page. Okay, chapter 18, Ryan Grant, belief in action. Wealthy people aren't wealthy because they have money. They're wealthy because they have advice and information. And now this next couple of pages is going to go on to explain exactly what he means by that, and whether it's going to be inspirational, whether it's going to be a strategy that you may not have worked into your way of doing business before, whether it's actionable or just something to think on that kind of changes your perspective a little bit. You will get value out of almost every darn page of that book, just because everybody brought their best to every single word they wrote, because no one person was writing a whole dang book.
The takeaways are limitless.
There's no fluff.
The takeaways are limitless.
Yeah. So that's good stuff. And I know that as a little inside baseball side note, we didn't even know how much this book was going to cost until it actually launched, because Kyle's first book was like 90 pages and this one's 281, and it's a publish on demand by Amazon type of setup. He didn't know how much Amazon was going to charge for that many pages. So like, just like all of that stuff that went into it it's been a lot of fun for me. And I know that there's quite a few people who have gotten some good information out of it. And I always jokingly tell everybody, just buy it, just get it. And if it's terrible, I'll just give you Kyle's cell phone number. You can hit him up for a refund. That's fine.
He'll bend
That's right. Yeah.
I love it.
So there we go. Jonny, any closing thoughts?
No, springtime. We're going into summer. Go out and get some business. Talk to more people than you've ever spoken to before. Stop letting this thing up here make you scared of things that really don't exist, and get out and meet and talk to people. Your job is sales. If you're sitting there hidden inside of an office or on any social media platform and you're hidden, you're a secret agent. then you are missing the boat. You are missing out on the rest of the world, and you're missing out on a group of people that truly need you. So get up, go do something different. Try something different today than you did yesterday. Try something different tomorrow than you did last week. Just try something.
Brian, thank you very much. Appreciate it. To anybody still watching and or listening, thank you for being with us. Pay attention because there will be more episodes soon. And until then, happy baseball season, everybody. Have a good one.
See you guys.